Unity is a widely used game development engine and content creation tool that's used to develop many popular games, such as Hollow Knight, Cuphead, and Among Us. And recently the company has made a very controversial statement that ruined their image about how they're going to manage the revenue games that use the engine. And recently they have come forth with what could be a solution to the problem. Hello, my name is Sachel, and today let's tackle this issue and really explain what's going on. For starters, their statements have caused so much outrage that Unity needed to make 3 changes in their policies as of today, each adding the rules, changing some, and removing others. The last one is a desperate attempt to dig themselves out of the hole they're currently in, and it's probably the reason why most of you clicked on this video. If you don't know what Unity did from the start, don't worry because I got you covered, and if you just want to know about the latest updates, you're covered as well. Just go to the timestamp that is on the screen right now. Enjoy! In a nutshell, on September 12th, Unity announced that in 2024 they would charge a certain fee to more successful developers per each download of the games, ranging from 20 cents, but would affect most developers, down to 1 cent per installation, based on what plan developers purchased. The system to establish what fee one would need to pay is being shown on the screen. Basically, if one has a Unity Personal or Plus plans, once they earn $200,000 of revenue in a year and had at least 200,000 downloads since the game's launch, they would have to pay 20 cents for each download of their game. 20 cents! Those views were terrifying for developers of more successful games, meaning that for each download, they would be effectively punished. This could mean that free-to-play games developed on Unity could no longer be made available, and also brought lots of concerns about piracy. Initially, Unity has said it would charge developers per download and not per purchase. And yes, you heard me correctly, per download. So if someone downloads a game 3 times, the developers charged, well, 3 times as well. Developers are concerned about install bombing. Just think about how people could create bots to install and uninstall games repeatedly just to cause harm, changing from VPN to VPN and making studios lose lots of revenue. People were quick to ask Unity on the post about what would be the measures taken in the situation, with Unity explaining that it would prevent wrongdoing since they leveraged their own proprietary data model. What sounds like a huge "trust me bro" moment. They don't really explain how it works, and if one thinks about it, there's no reason for Unity to actually put some good effort to track frauded downloads, since it would be earning a lot of money by allowing those frauds to happen. He has gotten to the point that the creator of free-to-play games such as Muck and QwackGaming has stated that they would need to pay $5.6 million to Unity based on those changes, and the Massive Monster, developers of the popular game Cult of the Lamb, have issued a statement that those Unity changes would force them to delay or cancel some of their projects. Those are just 3 examples, but they really highlight how much of the industry would be affected by Unity's greediness. A Reddit user that goes by the name of Steph Moronia, shout out to them, made a comprehensive visual chart showing how much revenue Unity would take of developers. There are multiple layers in this graph, with dark green being less than 5% of the revenue, light green being from 5 to 10% of revenue, and so on. All we can see is that although small, there is a group of people that have 100% or more of the revenue taken by Unity, in the black area. Yes, it is small, but this area simply shouldn't exist. Those people receive nothing for their hard work, simply because they use Unity, and even worse, some of them would lose more money than they earn because they use Unity. It is totally mind-boggling that Twitter and Reddit users thought more of the impact of this change than Unity did. Is it really possible that Unity saw that some developers would lose from 50% to 100% of the revenue and just go, yeah, that's good, drop it? Seems like they did. After an immense amount of valid criticism in Unity stocks dropping significantly, Unity probably were panicking seeing how much of a mistake they had done and how people did not like the decision at all. In what seems like a rushed decision, Unity made another post starting off with some huge copium, stating that more than 90% of their customers would not be affected by the change. Thankfully, Twitter, or X, whatever you prefer to call the platform, was quick to explain how despite 10% not sounding that bad, it would mean that 23,000 developers would be affected by those changes, a massive amount of people that would be considerably harmed. Also, do I need to show that graph again, in which there will be a sizable amount of developers who swing from 25 to over 100% of the revenue? I haven't seen such copium in a long time. On a more positive note, or at least less negative dare I say, they changed a super rule that for every download a fee will be charged, so that after this change, only the first install will be considered. That's partially a relief, unless you consider Unity has never shown a capacity to differentiate between installs, parented installs, and reinstalls. So although it's great that this absurd rule was changed, effectively the concerns about people doing install bombs while changing VPNs and doing all those shady business were still valid. However, Unity were kind enough to make it so that charity games would not count towards the fee, at least they're not that bad. And the same things applies to the game demos. No, just kidding, they are that bad, but they're just desperate. But even with those new last worst changes, the damage has already been done. As I've explained, Unity stock has already gone down, and ironically, mostly developers have united themselves against Unity. No one believes in them anymore. No one wants to work with them anymore, and rightfully so. If the community had interfered, Unity would be happily killing a considerable chunk of indie projects that are paramount to gaming today. It is with this scenario in mind that Unity came with their tail between their legs and apologized for the confusion and the angst caused by the new terrible changes, promising that such policy will be altered for the better in the future. Now, for the part you guys were expecting the most, what did Unity do to solve this issue? Yesterday, 22nd of September, Unity made a new post in form of an open letter written by Mark Whitten that starts in the best way they could have, with an apology. After all of this controversy, at least they accept the blame for the very poor decision making and for their greed, what is an honorable and correct move, to be honest. Starting with the most important information, they haven't removed the concept of a runtime fee, sadly, but the good news are that they totally changed how it's going to be incorporated. First of all, Unity Personal and Unity Plus will have no runtime fee at all, so it will remain the same as always, except for one positive detail. Now users can earn up to $200,000 in Unity Personal without paying anything to Unity, with this cap being of $100,000 in the past, what I see as a considerable upgrade. The way these fees are administered is that only those who have earned more than $1 million in the last 12 months and have decided to upgrade to the new LTS version of Unity that is being shipped in 2024 will have the option of paying a 2.5% revenue share or a calculated amount based on the number of new people engaging with the game each month. All this information will not be tracked by Unity or this creepy spyware, or rather self-reported by developers, and they will pay whatever is cheaper. In other words, those are some great news. First of all, one thing you might have not noticed is that the only people affected are those that upgrade to the new LTS version of Unity. That means that projects that have been made using other past versions will not be charged at all, and moreover, people that are currently working on projects using the current engine can rest safely, knowing that as long as they don't upgrade, they don't have to pay any fees. It is said on text, or at least heavily implied, as far as I can tell, that upgrading will be a choice and not a necessity. Some more good news are that it's not mandatory anymore to have the Made with Unity splash screen. This is great since some people don't want to be associated with Unity at all, especially after all this controversy, or just don't want to give them free advertisement, and well, Unity haven't given this opportunity for developers in ages. So, we went from every single developer being spied on to pay 20 cents per download, to only those that are earning $1 million and that have consensually decided to upgrade the newer version of Unity being charged in a much more reasonable way. Although no one wants to lose money, this decision is much more measured, just, and respectful to developers. I don't think that if this was their announcement from the start, people would be grinning and smiling and celebrating, but there would definitely not be any protests in the scale that we saw. Heck, I wouldn't even be making this video. Developers would be like, meh, but still would pay the fee. Well, Unity Personal certainly got an upgrade, that's for sure, and as far as I know, the Unreal Engine charges 5% of revenue, while Unity is trying to one-up them, charging half, or 2.5%. But will those positive changes make developers forget the malicious policies Unity intended to put in place some time ago? I highly doubt it. But although I surely have seen a lot of people saying they would not work with Unity anymore, even those that would have not been affected by those measures at all, I have certainly seen lots of people celebrating those new changes and saying they will stay with Unity after all that happened. Well, after all, it's difficult to just move out on an engine, be it Godot, Unreal, or whatever. All we can hope is that Mark Whitten continues being willing to talk to people and open to community ideas. Well, what do you guys think? Are you satisfied with the new changes? Do you think developers will forgive Unity, or they will move to another engine? Comment down below your answers, and see you next time.